Sometimes the long game is more important. Not all villains exist solely to antagonize our favorite heroes because of selfish or flat-out evil motives, and sometimes their motivations go beyond the physical. Their defeat still triggers the kind of impact in their world that they were trying to elicit in the first place. Either that or they've been playing the long game, and end up coming out on top despite seemingly being defeated. So today we're taking a look at some of those villains with the top 10 villains you didn't realize actually won. Let's jump in. And at number 10, Thanos. During the Infinity Gauntlet story arc, Thanos had collected all of the Infinity Gems, and had complete mastery over the universe as he defeats pretty much every single foe he encounters, including cosmic beings, imprisoning most of them. After he defeats Eternity, he leaves his body to become the living embodiment of the universe. His body and the gauntlet are left vulnerable to Nebula, his granddaughter, who then puts on the gauntlet and undoes all of the damage. Another battle goes down, and Thanos fights Adam Warlock, who defeats him, with Thanos seemingly committing suicide in the process. But we find out after the fact that Thanos let that happen. He felt he didn't deserve to win. So by doing that, I guess he actually succeeded, because he got what he wanted, sort of. But what he wanted wasn't really what he thought he wanted. Anyway, moving on to number 9, we have Arcade. This villain is someone who is never really seen as a threat, but due to having advanced powers in one of his own specially murderous funhouses, along with the gift of technology, he's able to inflict more trauma on his victims long after the actual incident. During Avengers Arena, 16 high-powered teenage superheroes are held captive by Arcade in his funhouse murder world. After they escaped, but before he was imprisoned, Arcade uploaded the footage of what happened in order to immortalize himself as a true villain, while furthering the trauma of the survivors who had escaped. And at number 8, Mr. Fear. Mr. Fear is a villain who has more brains than brawn, even though he's trained in hand-to-hand combat. He uses fear pheromones and other tech. Featured in 2 arcs from Daredevil, To the Devil and Without Fear, Mr. Fear was presumed dead after falling off of a building when he first faced Daredevil. He returned and avidly worked towards discrediting Daredevil as a superhero. In addition to that, before he goes to prison, one of his henchmen gives him a new chemical compound he had created, one that makes everyone around him worship him, which made his life in prison a dream. It's practically a paradise, and theoretically he could leave at his leisure whenever he would like. That plus the discrediting Daredevil, well, kinda looks like he won the long game there, didn't he? And at number 7, Wesley Gibson. While Wesley Gibson is the protagonist of Mark Millar's Wanted and overcomes all of the awful things in life to realize his superpowered potential, he, Fox, and the fraternity are still committing crimes, generally doing the kinds of things heroes would be locking them up for, if it wasn't for the fact that the fraternity had eliminated all heroes by erasing the world's memories of them. Sounds like a win to me. And at number 6, Dr. Doom. Sometimes it's the little personal victories that go a long way, as is the case with Dr. Doom when it comes to what occurred with Valeria Richards, Reed and Sue's second child. Long story short, Valeria appeared from the future, informing the Fantastic Four that she was the daughter of Doom and Sue. A bunch of stuff happened in between then. Valeria regressed into a fetus inside of Sue, and Doom has to deliver the baby while Mr. Fantastic was dealing with a world-threatening crisis. In return, Doom got to name the child Valeria, who was the name of his first love. So how is this winning? Well, aside from Valeria becoming his biological child after Secret Wars, that's a whole other Pandora's box. Well, think of how you would feel if you were Reed in this situation. Yeah. Doom got you beat, bro. And at number 5, Sinestro. During the Sinestro Corps War that appears in Green Lantern series, Sinestro was defeated, but not without revealing after the fact that his motivation in the first place was to get the Green Lantern Corps to use lethal force, to which he succeeded. The Green Lantern Corps now has a more forceful role in the universe, with new laws that approved of lethal force, therefore inspiring fear, and following suit with the Sinestro Corps methodology, which is order through fear. And at number 4, Magneto. Magneto has had many victories over the years, from killing Apocalypse to ripping out Wolverine's adamantium from his body. His philosophy has always revolved around mutants' rights, but with mutants being superior to humans, the latter's unfair oppression of the former's fueling his fire. He is determined to save mutants from suffering at the hands of humans. During Chris Claremont's run on Uncanny X-Men, Magneto ends up joining Xavier after he and the X-Men defeated Beyonder. Magneto reforms, ends up leading the X-Men while Xavier can't, and eventually uses this trust to harm them when he joins the Hellfire Club, claiming his reformation was all a pretense in order to use the X-Men and the New Mutants as pawns for a scheme to take over the world. If that isn't enough for you, in addition to this, one could also argue that most of Magneto's extremist actions have led to the pushing of boundaries when it comes to humans and mutants' progress living alongside one another in certain stories and films. So hey, at least there's that. Up next, number 3, Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock played the long game and won when he took over Peter Parker's body in Superior Spider-Man, and then erased Peter's brainwaves in issue 9 of the series. Of course, this doesn't last overly long. Otto realizes that he's caused more trouble than good and ends up resurrecting Peter, ultimately erasing himself from existence in a story arc that, despite receiving a lot of hate from fans, was actually pretty tragic. In at number 2, Ozymandias. Ozymandias had become excessively wealthy after revealing his identity and retiring from his career as a superhero. During the events of Watchmen, it's revealed that he is the one killing off his vigilante accomplices of the past, and that he is behind a scheme to create world peace and prevent nuclear war from occurring, by creating a catastrophic event and psychologically deteriorating Dr. Manhattan, and in the film to frame him for the destruction as a threat against humanity. And it works. Having failed to stop him, the heroes agree to go along with it, in both the film and the comic. While some argue that he may not have won after all because of Rorschach's diary being left at a journalist's office, that's sort of the beauty of it all. And no, we're not taking into account the events of the Doomsday Clock, because ask yourself, friends, what would Alan Moore do? Exactly. Shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, it's good storytelling, but shouldn't be a thing. And finally, in at number 1, the Joker. The Joker is one of the only villains to have succeeded in winning the long game multiple times, and on a much deeper level than just whooping ass. The Joker is a villain whose philosophy is king. Most of his victories are metaphorical ones, where he's played on Bruce's moralities and tormented the Dark Knight, constantly trying to push him to the edge in which he breaks his resolve. And it goes beyond the comics. This is depicted cinematically in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. But other instances in the comics where the Joker has in fact won in a different sense include Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, where the Joker succeeds in framing Batman for his murder, despite committing suicide. He destroys the idea that people have of Batman despite him having a clear conscience. Then in the Death of the Family arc, the Joker succeeds in the metaphorical death of the Bat family, destroying most of Bruce's allies' trust in him. So tricky. Alright, there we have it, friends. Are there any other villains you think truly won that we didn't mention on this list? Let us know in those comments below. And if you dug this video, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. And make sure you check out our top 10 supervillains playlist on our channel for more great nerdy vids. Thanks for watching. Catch you all in the next one.